Yo, what is going on, everybody? This your boy Sean, aka Puff Comics 83, and we are back after a week hiatus. It's been a while. You know, I was just telling BB, I miss you, bro. It's
I also
it's been like 2 weeks. It felt like a whole month.
It felt like way too long, like to not talk to you. Like it's like there's something like last Friday, there's something wrong.
Yeah, I know. I was like, did we talk a movie last Friday? Like, no, we didn't. Like that. How are you doing, man?
Actually, very well. I got enough sleep because it's gonna be a long night. Because later I'm gonna be on Biggie's channel.
Awesome, man.
Like NWO attire.
There you go, represent.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to join. I'm doing fine, but I won't be able to join because I had a doctor's appointment. I ain't get out till like 11 o'clock, so I ain't get really much sleep. So I'm probably gonna head straight to bed after this. So this movie has been put back for a couple of times, and after hearing what you thought about the movie, it's probably like, I think BB did this deliberately because he knew that this was not the movie for him.
It's so funny when you look online. There's like not a negative voice about this movie.
So we're gonna hear a negative voice today.
Like everybody's praising it. I had such a hard time finishing. It didn't pick me up from the start, and it didn't manage to captivate me. Like none of the characters was especially interesting to me. I mean, I am not the biggest fan of American 50s crime movies, especially when the focus is like on the police. So such movies have a hard job to draw me in the first place. But despite this fantastic mix of really great actors, I wasn't able to get into this movie.
What was it that you say that even like after like an hour into the movie, it's like, what couldn't you get into?
I didn't care about the case. I didn't care about any of the protagonists or antagonists. It's just like I didn't have a bone in this fight. It felt like it, and the story itself, it played very much, of course, to the genre. So there was not in particular like as like any fact, like an X factor in there that would have been for me. But also this movie was not made for me, so I'm not pissed that they didn't do it. Like, hey, Kenneth.
What up, Kenneth? Like when I first watched this film, because I didn't see it in the theaters, but I think I seen it on HBO. And at first, like the first half of the movie is like, who is it that I'm supposed to be rooting for? Because none of them are likable. All the characters are like, there's corruption among all of them. And even the most honest one, which is Exley, he comes off as smug, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Good Looks. So I'm like, how am I supposed to like this guy? But it's just something about the middle of the movie that turned things around for me. When things start to flip upside down and the movie gets interesting. Especially like the whole setup of the Night Owl Massacre and who they wanted to blame at first. And then they're like, well, they're innocent. And then the movie just picks up on the steam in the second half, and it just has a rousing conclusion at the end. That to me is what like really changed my mind on the movie when I first watched it. Like the first half was a bit dry. There was some good things in it, like the brawl at the jailhouse, and certain scenes with Bud White, being an asshole, but at the same time he has this complex about himself where he got to protect women. Like you never really see that, much with characters that has this morally complex. I need to save a woman that's being abused.
Yeah, I think that the characteristics of the characters. For example, being this by the rules guy, or like being somebody who's like protects women. I think those were acted out a little bit just too try hard.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like with Russell Crowe, everybody, just somebody mentioned that something happened to a woman. He's like,
yeah.
It's like that was a little bit too overacted a little bit. I mean,
especially the interrogation scene where he's listening to them talk and he's about to break the damn chair. I'm like, all right, bro, like calm down.
I mean, Guy Pearce and Russell Crowe are two fantastic actors. I mean, in my opinion, Guy Pearce even nailed the horrible old man makeup in Prometheus, like playing it. But he played it very fantastically in there. So Guy Pearce is an amazing actor, and Russell Crowe obviously also made a very successful career.
And this was the movie that broke both of them out.
Yeah. And it was also very interesting since two Aussies, between one New Zealander and one Australian, being cast after only very few movie experiences, in a bigger budget Hollywood movie.
Yeah, and it's funny how they both got the role, and that I think Russell read one of the books but not the other. Or maybe it was Pierce, but they just instantly gravitated to the characters. And Pierce said he didn't like the character at first until he kept reading on. And he's like, all right, now I like. And one of the things I like about how the movie starts and then ends is how it sets up the ending with the questions that Cromwell Dudley asked him. And that third question was, will you shoot a man in the back? If he's going to try and get a lawyer and stuff like that. And he's like, no, I wouldn't do that.
Well, spoiler alert.
And it perfectly sets up that ending. That's why I love when you rewatch things and you catch it more. And you're like, oh, he asked him the question. He set his own death up by asking him that question.
I think actually that the final act, the third act, is the bad part about the movie. Since it was not only well written, but also very well acted out, and also you had really quality shootouts in there. A night scene that was very well lit but still felt dark, which is especially in a technical way, one of the most important things to do during a night shoot, what not everybody is able to, sadly. Yeah. So you had a real quality in this movie. Some of the decisions also were not for my aesthetics. For example, they deliberately have chosen to shoot a 50s movie, despite everything being very authentic 50s. What they shot. Being shot like a modern movie, back in this in the late 90s. So it has an authenticity in terms of all the props, etc., being 50s, but it didn't felt like a 50s movies from the aesthetics. So it's a very interesting choice, and as everybody loves this movie, probably a choice that more people love. But for me, I would have expected more of a traditional noir aesthetic.
That's understandable, because when I watch the movie, you get noir vibes, but the aesthetics, like you said, it's not there compared to other film noirs. And even some of the neo-noirs from the 70s and 80s, they have the almost the aesthetic of the noirs, without actually trying to make it too modern.
Yeah. And also for me, it's of course also the choice was already made in novel that was adapted, that it's basically a story that is within an authority, the police force. For example, I preferred more, to have the protagonist to be an ex-cop that is disgraced and is like a private detective.
I don't know. I feel like the whole police force is disgraced. That's what the whole movie was about.
Yeah, it's a hey Chase. It's always funny how like basically a police dog in Germany gets more training time than a cop in the US.
Yeah, like I will say that when you watch the film at the start, you like, who is the villain? They try and set up that like maybe this millionaire Patchett, you know, the guy who runs the prostitution ring with people who look like Hollywood actresses, but he ends up being the MacGuffin. Like he's not the main guy in this.
Of course, James Cromwell's character had to be the villain. That actor is a fucking communist, so of course he's a bad guy.
And he like you get bad vibes from him right from the start. You know, like he's a police chief, but he does things unorthodox. Yeah. Like he uses Bud White as his muscle to interrogate people at the Victory Motel of all places.
Yeah, it's like he should have stuck to fucking pigs or something.
You know, so like right there, like when you saw that, you're like, he's not the saint that he tries to put Exley in. And I do like when Exley makes his way into the movie. And he's instantly looked at as pretty boy, intelligent. Oh, you know, you shouldn't even be a detective. You should be more like in the office and stuff. But nah, he wants to be a detective because that's what his father was. Yeah. But he does things his way, the right way, and it pisses off all the other police officers.
Of course, they
look at him as he's a.
If you're being a good cop, you make all the regular cops look bad.
Yeah. You know, so automatically they hate his guts, especially after the Night Owl mass. Not the Night Owl, the Bloody Christmas brawl in the jail.
Yeah.
I do like that setup of the brawl with Steinson and all of them was like getting ready to celebrate. You know, hey, we got the Mexicans that beat up all the cops earlier. And you're like, you gotta go down there and fuck them up.
Yeah, and you know, it was like that one was actually really good setup, like you said. Since they also, you know, they had the storytelling that the two cops that only had bruises, like so it would get worse and worse with every story. You know, they're basically in a coma and stuff. So they really riled themselves up to some good old-fashioned police brutality.
They making stuff up just to add some fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what the movie is about, making stuff up. You know, creating fabricated lies just to spin off the other people to say, hey, this is, you know, they the ones that's guilty. We gotta go after them. But they're really innocent. And, you know, you can't trust nobody in this town of Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my actually, of course, like favorite characters, but this also comes with the problem that for me, Danny DeVito, I love Danny DeVito. But for me, he is Frank Reynolds. so of course, like
in this movie.
Yes, of course, by him like giving like the opening like speech for the movie, which very well written and everything, but everything I heard is Frank Reynolds talking. So, but that's also on me. That's like also me. That's not like any fault of anybody involved, but for me, it's like, hey, I'm gonna start an Always Sunny episode.
Well, Sid Hutchinson's character is pretty much like
Remo.
Remo. Like he's like a reporter that likes the juicy info, the scandals. Yeah. You know, getting all the photos of everybody that's doing dirt. You know, and he has a partner in the police, Jack Vincennes, played by Kevin Spacey, Hollywood Jack as they call him, because he likes to mingle with the Hollywood stars, and he uses him as his, you know, contact, you know, to get information, to set up scandals, and do all that. So
and also
like,
to use it in the Badge of Honor TV series.
I felt like just them two alone could have made the movie, just doing all that. You know, setting up scandals.
it definitely feels like that there's material for more movies in there, but that's probably with every adaptation of a novel.
Yeah, like the novel probably had a lot more to do with those characters. But I just love their banter and their chemistry together. You know, playing off each other and saying, here's a $50 bill. I need you to set up this meet and stuff. So
it's like a $50 bill in the 50s. It's like it's worth something.
Yeah. But I enjoyed their banter, and I liked that aspect of exposing scandals in Hollywood. Because there's a lot of it's still going to this day. And, Hollywood scandals will never die. But when you got somebody like Jack Vicens and Sid Hutchinson on the job, they're gonna try and expose them.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like when you just look, of course, from nowadays perspective, look at this cast with a lot of great stars in the future. So it's whoever did the casting had like a good hand for future stars.
And it's funny because the studio was not buying into Guy Pearce and Russell Crowe.
Of course not.
They're not big names, so how are we going to market this movie?
Yeah, but like, of course the studio is like, hey, we have all these talented young actors. Sounds like a risk to me.
But, like, sometimes you don't need big names to drive a movie. You get the young talented actors who you've seen in previous films do a great job. You're like, he's perfect for the role.
Yeah, the best thing is you take actors that are right for the part and you make them big names.
Yeah. Because imagine if they would have got a bigger name outside of just Kevin Spacey to throw the movie, that's increasing the budget.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bigger budget. So having these younger actors, because Kim Basinger, Kevin Spacey, and Danny DeVito were the only known names.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the cast was just spot on perfect.
Yeah, I also think that Kim Basinger was a very good cast. And now it may sound ugly when I say it, but she was ideal for the role as a really fucked up look. But,
what scene I like, and it made me real say that, actually, you're not smart. Is that when he went to encounter her, she basically punked him out and kept saying Bud White's name over and over again until he got sick of it. It's like, you know what? Fuck Bud White. I'm gonna fuck you. And I'm like, see, you're using the wrong head to think. I was like, man. And then Sid Hutchinson just snapping all the photos to set up the whole thing later on.
Yeah.
I was like, man. But I just enjoy how the movie picks up in the second half a lot more than the first. The first half I thought was upon rewatches, I thought it was pretty good. But the second half is where the movie really picks up for me.
I can totally see it, from the quality of the production, from the quality of the writing, especially for the quality of the writing, being very true to the genre. That it is the case. It's just like, for me, it's just a pity that it did like it. Not a movie for me.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But a lot of people love this film. So.
Absolutely. Like, I read reviews, even I also read some German reviews. Like, everybody loves this movie. I remembered watching it on TV in the late 90s, and that's probably why I didn't remember anything, because maybe I even didn't like it so much back in the day, because I almost forgot about this movie until you mentioned it. So,
and it's funny, this movie came out around the same time and lost in the awards to Titanic. So it got dwarfed by Titanic, James Cameron, and Leonardo DiCaprio.
I mean, I can't say anything about Titanic. I still haven't watched Titanic to this day.
I only watched the last act.
But also, like, this is one of these cases where I didn't watch it back in the day because everybody loved it, so I didn't want to watch it because I was like, it's not a manly movie. Even though, I mean, there's Billy Zane in it. So basically, it's like I refuse to watch a Billy Zane movie. So actually, like I punish myself.
Hey man, Billy Zane was pretty good in that, man.
Billy Zane is awesome in everything. Like
he's awesome in everything, but Titanic, I enjoyed him in it.
Yeah,
but it's Titanic, so
at one point I have to watch Titanic just for Billy Zane.
But yeah, like when you talk about the on the nose of Bud White always getting agitated when he sees, a woman that's been abused, nothing was like mind your damn business at the beginning of the film when he noticed the girl in the car with the bandage on the nose. And he automatically just walks over there. Like, bro, that's not even none of your business. Why are you even bother? Because he can't.
Yeah, it's like also it's like also by just assuming, of course, that there was like violence involved. Could have been like a accident or something.
Like she could have slipped and fell and busted her nose on the desk or something.
Yeah, it was like falling down the stairs, like it happened.
It happens.
What was this movie with Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. With
I remember. Yeah, like the sequel of it. And there was this scene when he woke up like next to Bruce Willis. It's like my ass hurts. It's like, oh yeah, yesterday you fell down the stairs. And it's like, down the stairs.
Damn, what's the name of that movie?
I think in German it was like keine halben Sachen, like no half measures.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I've watched it when in the cinema.
Yeah, that movie was hilarious, man. And at first, I remember when they did the sequel to it, I'm like, did they really need to do a sequel? But the sequel was just as good. The whole 9 yards. Eh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
That was the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny as hell. Man, another scene that I like in this film is the whole interrogation scene.
That one was also that one was really good, especially when you saw like the different style of negotiation and also see how the police doesn't create the most fair scenarios to start with.
They don't, and then they say things. They ask the question, like actually asked to do the question about him being queer and all that stuff. Yeah. Dude answered while he flipped the switch so the other guy could hear it. And I was like, oh man,
I heard he with a sissy in jail.
I was like, that's some clever shit right there. And then he goes into another room, asks a question, and then he's talking about something completely different from the Night Owl Massacre. And then he's like, where's the girl at? And then that's when Bud Wright is hearing the conversation. He breaks the chair and runs off. But I liked how that whole interrogation was set up.
It's actually it's the funny thing about this movie is really, funny thing is like probably except for the poor like raped girl, everybody's like there's a very almost like no good person.
None. Yeah. Like I said, the entire police force is corrupt. Mm-hmm. Even the guys that got to there before Vicini's and Exley got there, they were there to plant the guns. And even then, you could just tell by how they act. They were there early for a reason.
Yeah, it's almost like the crimes that these people did. It didn't even plant anything. But the other thing is, which is also probably so Hollywood in the 50s. It's if they didn't want to plant that crime on them, they wouldn't have cared about the crimes they did prior.
Yeah, but they always like to dig up the crimes they did prior.
Yeah,
no matter what, especially when it comes to black men. Yeah. That's the first thing they do is dig up the crime they did in the past and say, "Oh, we can easily, set them up because they got a rap sheet." So it's like, And then on top of that, they go to save the Mexican girl that was being held hostage.
Yeah.
And again, I hated Bud because while I'm not defending anything remotely close to rape and what that poor girl went through, he shot that man without a gun in his hand.
Yeah, it's also, as for me personally, I'm a big fan of vigilantism. However, the police has to, like a police force has to follow the rules. It's okay to have a Punisher out there, but the police can't act like the Punisher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The man was eating a bowl of cereal, watching cartoons. He sees him and immediately puts his hands up because he knew he was caught. And Bud just shot him.
Yeah, like that. This should have been an arrest. Doesn't matter what despicable acts this person committed. Of course, like from a human point of view, I can totally get, hey, if you rape somebody, you deserve a bullet. But the police should not be the deliverer.
No. And then I like when Exley confronted him about it, and said, "This is justice. Like this is the justice that we deserve." And like they go back and forth, and Steinson's name get involved, and he's like, "Yeah, Steinson got what he deserved." And you could take that as two ways. Steinson got fired, that he deserved that, or Steinson getting killed at the Night Owl. He deserved that. And Bud just completely lost it. And it took like 5-6 guys to hold him back from attacking Exley.
Like, on the one hand, probably a very accurate portrayal of such a police character. On the other hand, makes it very rough to root for him as an audience.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what makes like the movie going forward better, because now these two men has to work together when they hated each other's guts. And you would think like the whole setup of taking the pictures of Exley and the girl banging, and then next thing you know they fighting because of those photos, but they still come to their senses that they got played.
Yeah.
It almost felt like that was a bit too convenient.
Yeah, that felt like the part of the plan that had too many variables, in my opinion. Yeah.
And then I do like when Bud asks Ed, "The Night Owl made you, and you want to tear it down," and Ed said, "With a wrecking ball, you gonna help me?" And like it's kind of cheesy, but at least it's cool at the same time of how he said it. Because everything about Exley's character is about moving up the ladder, and he moved up the ladder real quick. He got a badge because he shot the Negroes that everybody assumed was behind the Night Owl massacre, but they were innocent. So now you got people that died for no reason for a case that they didn't commit.
Yeah. What medal did he get again? Was Medal of Honor? Or,
I think it was like a Medal of Honor.
Which is so funny because probably this is also one of the messages of this movies, that Exley got 2 Medals of Honor, and actually for the only 2 things he didn't do by the book.
Yeah. And it's like he got a Medal of Honor for killing guys that, while they had criminal past, they wasn't behind the whole Night Owl massacre. They were wrongly accused. And again, it's like we've seen the time the wrongly accused be the ones that get punished. And it's like, where's the justice for them? Even if they got shady past, they don't deserve to be gunned down the way they got gunned down. So it's like,
spoiler alert, there is no justice.
No justice. Even at the end, the justice is still not really.
Yeah, did like the second Medal of Honor he got for shooting for shooting what is his name again?
Dudley.
Again, Dudley in the back. Like he deserved it very much.
That was beautiful.
He basically asked.
I like how Dudley say, "Hold up your badge so they can see that you're a cop."
Yeah.
And then he walk out holding his badge.
Yeah.
And actually's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm gonna go against my whole honor and just shoot them right in the back.
Yeah, and I also like the ending was very realistic with the whole police, all the fuck up. It's like, should we dig deeper into it? Nah, that's...
Yeah, because they trying to come up with a way to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
They know the whole organization is screwed.
Yeah, like it's...
If the newspapers get a word of this, they're gonna just run roughshod. But the LA police is corrupt, corruptionism all over it. So they trying to figure out, and we've seen. That's why I don't think you gotta get back to watching The Wire, because the cover-ups in The Wire is exactly what they trying to come up with in the LA comics. Just trying to cover up everything.
I really have to back to it, but it's like at the moment it's just I'm too deep into WCW backlogs.
Hey, like the Wire is jobbing out to WCW.
Yeah, it's like, and when I start like something else, it's like, oh, where am I? There are no Hulkamaniacs down here.
But see, that's the thing. Is like they get away with corruption. They come up with the solution at the end, and the guy who was the most corrupt still gets fucking championed as a hero.
Yeah, of course, because actually it would be interesting who they would have put, like who would have been the fall guy, like who to stick it on.
And I like how actually said they're using him, but he's going to use them as well. So
yeah,
it's like he might as well use them to his benefit if they're going to use him. Ah man, this.
Yeah, so basically the message of the movie is like in the end, which is very realistic, is that the only honorable guy from the beginning of the movie basically learned how to screw the system.
And when he was all about being righteous and being by the book, he realized like you cannot be righteous.
It's like you can't be righteous in a system that is not righteous.
Exactly. And he learned that the hard way. Let's backtrack to the name that I got in my caption.
Yeah.
Rollo Tomasi. Now I like the meaning of that. The guy that always gets away with everything.
Yeah, because basically we haven't even talked about like how the plot started, so that they arrested like the main drug guy, in Los Angeles, and then there was like this power vehicle, man. Somebody within the police force thought is like, hey, why not? Why can't we take that position?
And they shutting down anybody that comes from out of town trying to move in on the territory.
Exactly. So it's like it's always so funny. It's when an organization also basically creates the demand for them existing. It's like the same thing when companies that produce like prostheses for lost limbs also are the same companies that produce landmines, because of course like you're creating your own market. And it's always with the police. If you create the crime, you basically also create your own market for the police force to get more fundings and shit.
Yeah, and they get to run the town.
Yeah.
Which is like, we've seen this in countless other films. Remember in Bucktown, the police ran the town there?
Yeah.
And then Duke brought his boys in. They took out the police there. Like, oh shit, look at the money they're making. Oh, we can run this shit. So it's like, we gonna shut down anybody that's trying to come in and move in on this territory. Yeah. That's what the police was doing in this film.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy how much power that corrupts the mind.
Yeah, but by thinking about it, actually, like, the plot is very interesting. It's just like the pacing was not for me. Even though I love like slow hitting movies, but it's just like this movie was neither in pacing nor nor in aesthetics. It was not it was not done with me as the target audience in mind.
I can imagine you being the one that throwing the water or calling Marilyn Monroe a whore. It's like, oh, she's a fake. She ain't the real Marilyn Monroe, but she's the real. That was funny.
That's
but yeah, the Rollo Tomasi thing and the whole death of Jack Vicinius was genius. And I like how Kevin Spacey needed to see a black dot on the wall behind Cromwell so he could focus on that. That's what makes his death scene so good, is that when his eyes are like watching Cromwell, they stay focused until he passes.
Yeah.
And Cromwell moves and he just slowly dies. And it's like, but he was able to utter out the words Rollo Tomasi.
Yeah.
Exley told him about, because he's like, I'm just gonna tell you that Rollo Tomasi is the person that always gets away with it. So Jack knew that by saying that before he passed, Dudley was gonna ask about it. Mm-hmm. And it pretty much set Dudley up for his own failure.
Yeah.
Because now Exley knows that he's Rollo Tomasi. And it was such a shocking move in the movie. Because I'm like, it's Kevin Spacey. It's like, they ain't gonna kill him off. He's the biggest name in the movie. And then he dies. I'm like, what the fuck? Complete shock when I was younger.
Yeah. Let's say that Kevin Spacey knows to play the system better in real life than his character in the movie.
and he was like the more entertaining of the three, because he was just charismatic about it. And him and Sid Hutchinson just had that great chemistry of setting people up. Like the actor who resembles James Dean from the 50s, I was like, yeah, they really making all the actors look like, resemble those 50 actors.
And it's also like with Matt McCoy, where it was immediately, it's like, even though he was only in 2 episodes, like I thought it was in more episodes, but immediately it was, hey, Seinfeld. Like, he seemed to relate.
But yeah, there's a couple of other scenes that I want to talk about. But the other scene that I really enjoyed was the whole setup of I liked the introductions to the characters and the whole interrogation of the mother of the person that Bud saw in the car with the broken nose. The mother came in and identified the body.
Yeah.
And then later on, when Bud realized like something about the night owl wasn't right, and about his ex-partner, he went investigate. The mother's like, yeah, my daughter was dating this ex-police, and it ended up being Steinsman, the man who got killed at the night house, who was a corrupt cop himself. And he goes underneath the building. She said, "Oh, there's nothing down there. This is nothing but a big rat." His sense was strong, and he finds Meeks, who was the man who was the bodyguard early on for Patcher.
Yeah.
So it's like, at first I'm like, what the fuck is going on when I first watched this film? While the movie does tell you that you don't really get to know enough about Meeks to really know, like, he was a disgraced cop himself. But I do like how things start to fall apart for the police when they start going into this deep investigation on it.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I also think that with also identifying the daughter, it was a very realistic scene. I also have to say that and I don't know if they do it in reality. It's when it's like to identify the daughter, like strip her like the corpse naked, like how little decency there is.
Hey man.
But luckily I never was in that situation.
But yeah, I do like Bud, even when he's with what's her name, he's still trying to figure out like that something's wrong with the night owl. normally they look at Bud as like a stupid cop. You're just a muscle.
Yeah.
Don't start thinking. Just be the muscle. And then he starts to think, you know. And I liked it when Dudley was telling Jack, when Jack was like, he messed up and he's trying to make amends. And like, oh, now you want to play cop? Oh, now you want to be a good guy? You ain't learned that in school. So it's like now these guys are starting to catch on to things that Dudley's like, all right, now I'm going to have to take care of business because now my own men are starting to turn up without really turning on.
Yeah.
But of course, if I had a boss like James Cromwell, I'd turn on him too.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, this movie has some very like. Also, that scene was too funny for me because, of course, with Danny DeVito, but also Danny DeVito's death scene.
Man,
it shouldn't be funny, but when Danny DeVito talks, it is funny. I don't know, like untie me is like, can we untie me now?
You're supposed to pull your punches next time.
I don't know. It's yes. Danny DeVito is a fantastic actor.
He's awesome.
I know he's like, but I can't like you know with the Penguin it works with the makeup and everything. But otherwise, he's too funny. Like even in the series or even in the death scene, like he's too funny.
I like they had him laid out on the floor and stuff. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be sad or laughing. The way he laid out.
Because I'm used to him crawling out of a couch naked.
I mean, if they really wanted us to feel sympathy, they should have slit his throat and have him lie in the pool of blood or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like his death, I was like, damn, they have to kill another great character.
Yeah. And only this comeback stay alive.
So Dudley is like, I need to tie up all loose ends, and he kills pretty much the ex-bodyguard of Mickey Cahoon and Patcher, who I didn't really care about him because he felt like you could just tell that he wasn't no baddie.
Yeah, he like I think also he felt also like basically like he basically was just there so the audience has like a character that they could think is the villain.
Yeah, but you could tell that he's just not a mastermind.
Yeah,
like he's too into his whole prostitution ring, and while he is corrupt and he is like I do like when Bud went to what's her name place and the senator was there or the councilman,
yeah,
and he sets him up like, yeah, you know, I'll tell your wife, you know, what you're doing, and then later on, like he was gonna vote no, but then he got the pictures of him doing his thing. He like, damn it, I got to go with it. So this corruption that Patcher is doing to get things to favor his direction.
It's tough to be a politician when you want to live your life, man.
Yeah. But you just don't buy him as like the main baddie. Like that's why he's like,
yeah.
When Dudley did what he did to Jack, hey, like, oh, now we know who the true baddie is. It's the police all along.
Ta-da!
All along. Hey, like they were already.
It was me,
stating,
Austin. It was me all along.
Fuck that storyline. Higher power beat Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But you know what? Vince McMahon always makes a great villain, so you can't pass it up. So. But yeah, I was like it had to be the police to be the baddies, and again going back to that ending, I love movies like we talked Assault on Precinct 13. I love movies where people are trapped in the building and they have to shoot their way out.
Yeah. And that one was really well executed. That shootout in the end.
And actually, in White, they had to work well together. I love how they set things up. Like White going in the hole, shooting the guy's legs from underneath the house, and then actually coming and finishing them off.
Yeah.
They're like, that's great tag team right there.
Exactly. That one was really well played out, like really well choreographed. So there went a lot of work in there, and they really managed to.
And I really thought Bud died when Cromwell shot him in the face.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, they're gonna take the whole cast out. Nah, they show him alive later. I was like, it probably would have been good if he died, and Exley was the only one that survived.
I think actually like making him survive. Because I really like the scene later where you think, where you think at first that Lynn stays with Exley, but then it turns out that she's gonna go with White to Arizona.
Straight to Arizona.
It's like, which is a punishment on itself. As I heard. It's like it should be very hot there.
And they do give White a little backstory with why he's so animosity towards people beating up and abusing women, because his father abused and killed his mom while he was tied to the radiator. So they gave him that.
Yeah.
But then he ended up going to Lynn and beating her for a little bit because of what she did with Exley.
It's a vicious cycle, as to say.
It is like yeah, you come to defend woman, but then sooner or later something happens and you're the one that's beating on the woman, and he caught himself after the second slap. He's like, I can't do this. I gotta run.
Yeah. It's also this classic fallacy which a lot of people sadly fall into, especially when they put like a woman on a pedestal with values that no person could uphold, and then when the person acts against like the version of her in your head, suddenly is like
and the funny thing is, this man is fucking pissed that Exley boned her, but I'm like, bro, a whole bunch of fucking guys boned her it's a job. But because he hates Exley more, it's like that gives him the reason to beat her up. Like, you might as well beat the 20 guys that did her before you.
This is also one of the reasons why I don't think that White is like he's not a character that I could root for. And because like I said, there is this sort of hypocrisy in him, and he's committing murder. He's there's a lot of things that are not right with that character.
Yeah, it just makes no sense for you to get mad at Exley being the one to do her when a whole bunch of guys done did it before.
It's always also interesting because I had the discussion very, very often with my girlfriend. When I say that I don't like a movie because I don't have anybody to root for, and she says like, "Oh, you don't need to anybody to root for in a movie." And I'm like, "Well, I do." So it's like, when people can watch a movie without having like any person in there where they say it's like, "Hey, I'm rooting for that person." So,
all right, so
but I need that.
Let me ask this.
Yeah. Compared
to 1982 Scarface, which would you rather take?
Actually, Scarface, because at least he killed communists.
Well, James Cromwell
there was something redeemable.
Well, James Cromwell was a communist. He got killed.
Yeah, but in person, but not the character. As far as I know, Cromwell still stalks Hollywood and glues himself to Starbucks.
Because I was thinking that too. I was like, you know what? This movie, like, if BB don't like this movie, I'm gonna ask him which one, this or Scarface. And the fact that you told Scarface.
And at least Scarface spawned Razor Ramon, so yeah, so it's basically it's a clear choice. I don't know any cool wrestling character that is based on El Confidential. Not even Elite Knight.
No. But now take that consideration, like the 1950s version of Scarface, which had that gangster noir style flavor. when we talked about it, we liked that movie more than the '83 movie.
Exactly, yeah. But also, like, it had this. When I say it has this Noir feeling, well, it was a Noir movie from back in the day, so basically it is what it is naturally. So, like, but yeah, I would have loved like more of this approach, a classic approach, than to have like to modernize it. But of course, I can see probably that it was the right choice to get like a broader audience with it.
Yeah, because when you really think about it, like, film noirs in the '90s is not like the biggest thing.
Yeah, which is actually crazy that I think it was really like a miracle, but it probably was just also like at this point in time that Sin City like really got over with audiences, like with regular audiences.
Yeah, and this is audiences that didn't know it was a comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sin City's a future to talk to.
For sure.
But you know, I don't want to like continue talking on something if you're not 100%. But I do like the fact that you watched it with an open mind, and while you didn't like it, there are still some things in the movie that were pretty good for you to say it's not trash. It's not gutter trash.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's of course for me it's very important when I talk about a movie that there's like true like there's like my subjective opinion, and there's like an objectivity in quality that transcends like my subjective opinion. So I can say I didn't like the movie, but I can also accept, hey, there's like a high quality in production, a high quality in acting. So like all these aspects are there. They're just not for me.
Yeah.
So I always hate when people say, "Oh, this is like a shit movie," when they're not the target audience.
Yeah. Because you know there are movies that people put on a pedestal that I'm like I feel is overrated. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that good. You know, and everybody have different opinions. That's why, you know, it's great to have this forum that we can talk about and say whether we agree or disagree, whether the movie's great or bad or whatnot. We can have these opinions, talk about the positives, talk about the negatives, and just come to a middle ground to it. And,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this movie is not overrated. It is perfect for its target audience. It gives them exactly what they want, and rightfully it is scored as high as it is by fans of the genre and the general public, but I'm not the target audience.
And that's understandable. Again, I said that all the time. You're not the target audience. Like, I would say that Violent Shit 3 is not my bag, but there is an enjoyment about that film.
Exactly, like with Violent Shit 3, objectively it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Subjectively, I love the shit out of it.
Yeah, like there are bad movies that have qualities to them, and then there are bad movies that don't have qualities to them.
For example, like a movie that everybody knows, which is one of the worst movies in history, it's Troll 2. But this movie is so awesome. I've seen it. I was so lucky to see it in cinemas, and on the 100 reruns it had on German TV. That movie's a vibe.
But I know the one movie that we both can agree on, that we talked about, we looked at it and said, man, it's got Billy D. Williams in it. Like, Alien Invaders. Man, we started off the show like, man, this movie sucked.
Yeah. Objectively and subjectively.
I think we talked about maybe 25 minutes of that movie before we like, man, let's talk something else.
Yeah, it's just imagine that a movie is so bad that not even Billy D. Williams can salvage it.
No. He's like, at least give us something decent.
Yeah, it's like
I've seen decent low-budget sci-fi movies of the 90s better than that.
Yeah, like The Time Bomb, that I just recently watched because when we
That's
when you talked about Terry Funk, and he has like this one small talking role in it where it just leads Kinski away.
I like, damn it, we didn't get to see Kinski versus Terry Funk. That would have been a fun from that.
Crazy.
Yeah. I already got that on the docket. That's gonna be the first movie we talk in November.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be sweet because you have Schultz as director, and as we know, he's a very good director.
Oh yeah. If we start to dive into his filmography, I'm talking Car Wash, Cooley High.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then you have Kinski in an American movie, which is Western adjacent, but also science fiction. Actually, this movie surprised me so much. I enjoyed it.
Especially for a TV movie.
Yeah, for a TV movie, yeah. And I mean, Kinski still every scene. And then, of course, you have a cameo of Terry Funk in it.
I'm looking forward to watching that film. I saw this on YouTube, so I'm like, oh, perfect. What do you want to do with Dawn of the Dead?
I would say what I would like to do is maybe a comparison between the different cuts.
Okay.
I already watched the Romero cut since there's things about Dawn of the Dead that I really like, and there's things where I don't agree with, but I still have because before I watched the Argento cut, I only watched the cut that we got on the German Blue and the DVD back then. It was even before, or I think it's the VHS, which was basically a butchered cut that put all cuts in one together. And I didn't like the movie back in the day because it had no rhyme or reason, and it was way too long because all deleted scenes were like cut into it. So I just watched the Romero cut and I liked it way more now the movie than I did the first time.
Which one? The theatrical or the extended?
The extended cut is like the German. That one is that's the I think 150 something minutes. Yeah. That one was the one that I watched for the first time. So I watched the movie and that I hate. Then I just watched the theatrical cut, which is the Romero cut. Then you have the Dario Argento cut, which is the shortest one, which I'm looking very much forward to watching since I'm a big Argento fan. But I never watched the Argento cut of Dawn of the Dead. So I hope that this cuts out a lot of scenes that are, in my opinion, a little bit too stale and maybe a little bit too funny. And then there's like what was the third cut? There's another cut.
I think it's going to be interesting because I never watched the Argento cut, but I did watch the extended version of the movie, and I talked about it on my horror movie spotlight. It was longer than what it should have been.
Yeah.
But I do understand some of the aspects of the characterization and the whole plot of the mall, and that being like a safe way for them, and almost like Kittyland. It was like, a place that we all love going to as kids. Go to the mall and have fun. So I get the stylization of highlighting the mall as a place, as a safe haven. I just felt like the movie was way too long.
Yeah, there was like a little bit too repetitive with the mall, and personally, despite having Tom Savini in it and working on it, I'm not a fan of the zombie makeup. Like I also when I watched the Romero cut, I think like to have like so many zombies in the mall that don't have any bite marks, or like there are basically way too many like undamaged zombies is a little bit unrealistic. So for me, who is a big Fulci fan, I always prefer the depiction of zombies by Fulci. Of course, we would have probably not gotten the depictions of zombies by Fulci if it wouldn't have been for Dawn of the Dead and the international success that this movie was. Like, like Night of the Living Dead, of course, is the classic. It's like the first movie in this franchise. but Dawn of the Dead really made it like a pop cultural thing.
Yeah. So I figured, like, because I mentioned Zombie 2, but I figured if we're gonna do the different cuts of Dawn of the Dead, that should just be one episode.
Yes, and maybe Zombie 2 the next afterwards. Yeah, because I love Zombie 2.
I want to see Zombie versus Shark again.
This shit like that can only happen with Italian studios, like something that goes against any safety regulations.
I remember when I first saw that cut, I was like, a zombie versus shark, and the zombie is held on his own?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the most famous scene.
The eye scene, like the legendary eye scene, perfectly. I also love, like, from the old, like, Spanish graveyard when the zombies got up. Personally, I prefer voodoo zombies. Voodoo zombies are my favorite zombies.
And that's why when we talk Sugar Hill kicking off October, that's going to be exciting.
Exactly.
We talk about zombie designs. Those voodoo zombies in Sugar Hill, even to this day, still holds up as the most scary looking.
Yeah, so basically, we have like this... we have actually a zombie theme going on this.
Hey, we might as well just book another zombie movie at the end of the month just to take.
Yeah, just to stay within the theme, and I mean, luckily there's a
whole bunch.
Yeah, a whole bunch of them.
But yeah, that's probably what I'll do, because I figured we're not going to talk Zombie 2 in the same episode as
yeah, especially when we're talking about the different cuts. Like, there's so much to talk about, like both movies.
Yeah, so we'll definitely split those up. And
you know what would be a great fourth movie?
What's that?
I mean, it's not exactly zombies, but it's adjacent. It's like demons.
What's it?
Demons.
Demons?
Demons.
Oh, the name. Yeah. Okay.
That one that plays in Berlin.
I need to look that one up.
With Cerreta.
What year was it?
Oh, must be late 90s, early.
The Italian one?
Yeah, the Italian one, yeah?
No, 1985. Okay.
85, yeah.
Dario Argento. Yeah.
He was the producer.
Yeah.
Lamberto Bava, the son of Mario Bava, was the director.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. I'm down with that.
Because that movie is so awesome. You will love it.
I'm down with that, man. So yeah, that's our October setup right there.
Yeah.
So I will add the rest of those to the docket, and we already got Time Stalkers for the start of November. So we are booked, people. We are booked.
Yeah. And I thought we had time also to talk the Dungeon of Doom.
That might be a spin-off.
A spin-off.
And how them, the Horsemen, and everybody else lost to the Hulkamania in the damn Tower of Doom cage match.
Yeah.
Good lord.
I just recently rewatched.
Good lord. The amount of cocaine in that match was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a really fun discussion.
I really liked the discussion. I hoped it would be like that. I feared I would be like I don't want to talk about this movie, but hey, it was very much fun talking about this movie, even though the movie was like not really up my alley.
Even if it wasn't up your alley, there was still some good stuff.
Yeah, like I said, like objectively, it's a really good movie. Subjectively, not for me, but a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm glad. Like when I asked you and you said it was boring, I was like, oh man. I thought we was gonna like maybe talk about the movie for like 10 minutes and then move on. But we was able to get a lot out of it, and it's still a highly recommendable movie. Like
absolutely. If you're a fan of the genre, I also think, even though I didn't like it, I'm happy that I rewatched it. Since, I always think that movies you watch, like in your teenager years or earlier, you really have to rewatch them to have like a valid opinion. Since for some movie, or like, I think you need some appreciation or some knowledge about movies to really form your opinion. So, hey, John. So even though it was not for me, I'm very happy that I've watched it, being now 40 years old, and to dissect it subjectively and objectively.
Yeah. But yeah, I know John was looking forward to this because I told him in the last book club, like, yeah, we're talking LA competition. I can't wait for y'all to talk that. But yeah, different opinions, but we came to the same conclusion.
It's objectively, it's a fantastic movie that rightfully has the ratings that it does. It's just not it was just not made for me.
Yeah.
But what is made for me is Biggie Shaq's Collectors Club, and tonight, also for me, basically, it's gonna be 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, so I'm pulling off like a long nighter just to be on Biggie's show.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, well, I hope I don't have to compete because my comic collection is a mess right now.
Man, you know how Biggie is, man. He's a competitor, man.
Yeah, probably
he's gonna have the belt. If you're gonna have an NWO show, that means you compete.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but at least having some comics laying around me, and I probably have to put up some boxes down to be able to push.
You're not gonna stand outside and just get cheap shots in like Vincent.
Yeah. Next time I should dress up in the best Southern faction, just be the Colonel.
Yeah, I'll definitely catch the replay of that tomorrow. It's gonna be fun, and I know you're gonna light some fires tonight. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if I could kiss the sensational Sherry, I would totally be fine with being the Colonel.
Man, amazing how when we were younger, sensational Scary or Scary Sherry, well, she was like a nightmare to us. But then you get older and like, man, Sherry was fine as fuck.
Oh yeah, she was.
What's up, Rose After
Dark?
Hey,
here's some Jock.
Man, go sub these guys up, man. It was great hanging out with them at the Daytona Beach Comic Con, and they're doing some content on their channel. It's great seeing other collectors get together and talk comics. So definitely sub up, y'all. And by the way, I have not plugged her channel in a while, but Retro Nerd Girl, she's live right now. Definitely check her out. She does a series of topics on Fridays. I know a couple weeks ago she did like redoing the Terminator franchise, which is like a daunting task considering how deep that is. But she always has great opinions and great thoughts. So definitely check out.
She's the best. I think she's one of the most. I mean, she's luckily she has like her followership. She's growing. But in terms of quality and being able to really dissect the movie and, to go into the meaty parts of it, I really think she is still undersubscribed for that because there's not a lot of, there's a tons of movie channels on YouTube, but in terms of quality, there are not a lot that can hold her water.
Yep. And she's just an awesome person. And just hearing her talk to her fans is great. Yeah. So definitely sub her up. And next week, we will be back. And it'll be my birthday.
So somebody's joining finally the 40 Club.
Hey, I had to save because that grade was coming out strong. I was like, man, let me cut this off a little bit, man. But yeah, next week we're doing a double header. And it'll be, again, movies first time watching VV. Talking 1991's Hanging with the Homeboys and 1992's Juice. Movies with 4 friends that completely go off the rails by the end of the film. But they're phenomenal watches to me, and I'm looking forward to talking these films on my birthday. Jace might join us next week for that as well.
And I'm also very curious since I have not watched this movie before. I still have to look where I find them.
If you need Hanging with the Homeboys, I have a link.
Oh, great! Yeah,
I'll send it to you.
I will check if it's available here. So, and if not, then let you have my back.
You will find Juice more than Hanging with the Homeboys. Hanging with the Homeboys is like a very independent film. You're not gonna find that much. Juice is available because Tupac.
Yeah.
So we hope y'all can join us next week. Also next weekend I'll be on the 10-1-1 with Gary B.
And I'm gonna be the co-host.
Yes. And I have 11 books. I need one more.
I'm so happy to be the co-host because I don't have the problems of finding the books.
It's one book I need to find. I'm like, I need to show this book off, so I got to find that book.
Well, it's it's first you find that one book, and then you have all these books together, and then you're like, there's a book missing.
Yes, Samuel Jackson. Yeah. There's a lot of actors in that movie, dude. Yeah, can't wait for next week, man.
It'll be fun.
So this is your boy Sean, BV. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Have fun. We'll see y'all next week, y'all. Peace out.